In the news this week, child sex abuse victims outrage over compensation bill rejection.
Plus, petition goes viral as police union demands workers' compensation for police officers.
This is the Evening News with Ivan Lung and Daniel Staniskov.
Good evening. The state government has rejected a bill aimed at allowing victims of child sex abuse to claim compensation and sue for damages. The opposition expressed their anger towards the decision, suggesting the Barnett government are protecting paedophiles. Cassandra Elliott begins our coverage.
Emotions flowing high outside Parliament House this week as pedophile victims relive their trauma.
The Premier keeps saying that there are flaws with this legislation, but he continues to fail to indicate what those flaws are. We're hearing some murmurs around and about, all of which we're able to easily address.
Current WA laws have a time limit on when a victim of child sex abuse can sue for damages. The state government recently rejected the chance to change these laws, an opportunity Mark McGowan says has been regrettably missed.
I think the Premier is being obstinate, unreasonable and unsympathetic to these people.
By voting against having this bill brought on today, the government were offering further protection to paedophiles.
I think the conduct of John Quigley has been one of the most shameful episodes I've seen in my time in Parliament. To refer to people, including Lisa Harvey, the Deputy Premier, as protecting pedophiles was an awful thing to say.
On average, child sex abuse victims don't speak up until 22 years after the trauma. This bill was created to abolish this time frame so victims can come forward in their own time and seek justice. Cassandra Elliott, WAMN News.
An online petition has been launched by the police union lobbying the state government to roll out workers' compensation for officers. However, the Premier is concerned that the compensation approval will mean medically retired police officers could receive double payouts. Nelson Liu has this exclusive report.
Dave Benchley has seen countless traumatic events on Perth streets while on duty as a police officer. They've caused him to retire medically following post-traumatic stress disorder. He says other police officers are like him, physically or mentally incapacitated while on the front line.
They've been running into the danger for too long. They can't do it anymore.
The now medically retired Police Officers Association president is calling for public support to back a new petition introduced this week for a workers' compensation scheme, currently unavailable.
We are the only police force in Australia that does not have a workers' compensation scheme. The petition now is to actually get the public to support us.
He says the state government isn't supporting its injured officers, with only officers receiving media exposure, including Ryan Marin, provided ex gratia payments to help with care.
I'm to step forward now and take care of the police in the same way they should have done before.
The state government says discussions are ongoing, but issues remain.
Part of the negotiation, I guess, is, well, if you go to a workers' compensation system, which is fine, then what happens to all those other entitlements? We don't want to see a doubling up or double dipping situation.
The Medically Retired Police Officers Association says most WA officers don't receive financial support like Ryan Marin, but the state government is concerned officers might combine police benefits with compensation payments if a new scheme is introduced. Nelson Liu, WAMN News.
Residents of Mandogulap have spoken out about claims their suburb are an unhealthy place to raise children. Nancy Carboni grew up in the town and says she and her siblings are perfectly healthy, and alleges these claims are just a scare tactic for businesses to extend their buffer zone even further.
I guess the reason why this is so controversial is that this buffer was meant to be a temporary buffer, it wasn't meant to be permanent, and now there's legislation that is trying to make it permanent. And now this buffer has no evidence of dust that is impacting the Mandogulap residents or impacting the area.
The Minister for Education and the Premier welcomed new schools into the Independent Public Schools Initiative this week. The principal from one of the latest schools to make the transition said it's a welcome step in the right direction. Premier Colin Barnett says he is very proud of the state's education system and this is a unique opportunity.
What the IPS system is doing, it is ensuring that teacher quality is enhanced, it's improved. If a teacher now wants to go to a school, they will improve their skill set, and that is exactly what is happening. Schools that are non-IPS will continue to be the best resourced in the nation. We will continue to put teachers in those classrooms.
The European Union warns that the United Kingdom will face tough negotiations as the Brexit process began. Although British Prime Minister Theresa May said the UK will work closely with the EU, her speech was met with immediate opposition. Both French and German leaders emphasized that the bloc will not sacrifice its core values to keep Britain as a close ally. The summit was already held 1 month ago without UK's participation after the Brexit referendum.
We are not leaving Europe, and we are not turning our backs on our friends and allies. While we have not yet formally started the exit negotiations, here at the summit I've been clear that my aim is to cement Britain as a close partner of the EU once we have left.
After the third live television debate, Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump made it clear that he will accept the election results if he wins. His comment comes after he refused to confirm whether he will concede his rival Hillary Clinton wins. Mr. Trump is alleging that the election is rigged, despite there are no evidence to suggest voter fraud. Donald Trump also stated that he will reserve the right to file a legal challenge if he loses.
I will totally accept the results of this great and historic presidential election if I win.
And finally this week, it's rare to see a father and daughter's leadership team in politics, but the occasion happened at the city of Melville after Mayor Russell Albury's daughter Rebecca Albury appointed as the deputy mayor. It's certainly an interesting political combination, but Mr. Albury is confident that his daughter will do well despite the huge challenges lying ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited and I'm very proud of my daughter. She's come onto this council. In my view, she has performed as one of the best councillors that I've worked with. She doesn't agree with me all the time. It's always a little bit hard to take, but there's fathers and daughters.
Like father, like daughter. And those are the top stories you need to know this week.
You can catch our latest news on our website and Facebook. Until next week, good night.
See ya.